Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Talking Point. My name is Hospital. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for joining us here on Hilaal TV, DSTV channel 347. On Monday, the 29th of September, a very important report came out. This was the SIU report into the looting of the Tembisa Hospital. We go back to August 2021 when whistleblower Babita Deokaran had flagged irregular activities that had been happening at the hospital. She was tragically murdered in that month of 2021. And this sparked investigations into trying to find out where did it all go wrong in this hospital. We face a crisis within health in this country, and for a brave soul like her to come out and expose what we saw in Tembisa Hospital was a sign of where we are as a country at this moment. 2 billion rand, which was meant for healthcare services, was misappropriated. And this is just the interim report that we are seeing right now. Let me welcome my first guest that will take us through to the first two segments to discuss this. He is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Health within the National Assembly, Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo. Dr. Dhlomo, good day. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Point on Hilaal TV.
Good day, sir, and good day to all your viewers.
Now, it's an absolute pleasure having you on. Dr. Dhlomo, when you first read the report, watched that press conference, what were your immediate reactions to it, given that it has, of course, taken us 4 years to get to where we are right now?
I was eagerly waiting for that report. I'm sorry I can't show my face because of connectivity.
Sure.
Why I was eagerly waiting for that report is both, one, I had heard that the Premier, the Minister, had supported the investigation at Tembisa Hospital. Number two, we had, as a portfolio committee, we visited Tembisa Hospital many times, but the last one was February this year when there was a fire break in that hospital that destroyed the area where they are keeping files. Very suspicious type of a fire. But number three, I have read a book recently written by a very eminent South African journalist, Babita, and in that book, there's something that says, Babita said to someone very senior in the department, I see something quite irregular about these transactions taking place here at Tembisa Hospital. I think we should hold these payments and not pay until we can fully investigate. You know the response of that official? She said, no, even if you see something irregular, let's just pay. I can't explain this to the political leaders. Why am I not paying? Can you hear that type of an interview? So that's why I'm saying to you, this was not an accident. It was a concerted effort to loot and steal that started right down from whoever was compiling or receiving the tender documents, the clerk, and everybody there, and supported by the structures in that space where people are handing tenders, right until the CEO of the hospital, who should have been alerted by this, his final signature to say, I endorse this, was actually putting himself as part of that syndicate of criminals. Now, that actually is saying, I am doing this because I have instructions to do so. I see this thing is irregular. With my financial training, I can understand this is irregular. They're very cunning. They knew that hospital can't do a tender of more than 500,000. So if they want to steal about 2 million, they will make all 5 tenders to be less than 400,000 so that it can pass through and doesn't go to another senior departmental leader who will probably be sitting outside the hospital. So all that was well planned. And can you hear a story that says any other person who tendered and was not successful was also given a bit of money, take this and just keep quiet. Number 4, there were people there who this journalists who investigated went around the country and say, so and so, you have your name is appearing there that you are doing work for, you are a service provider for this hospital. And people were saying, no, my son, my cousin, my uncle took my details. I live there in this kindergarten land, in this land, very far away from the city center. I don't know anything about that hospital. I've never seen it, but my name was taken, and I think he's really doing that. And so people remain in shacks who are relatives to these thugs, and the thugs go in and loot such that we don't have enough money to buy ambulances, pay doctors, hire more doctors, and they go and buy Lamborghinis. That is why I was saying at the end of it all, this is almost treasonous. This is almost what could actually be in any other country be a treason offense that will need very serious and harsh sentences.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Dhlomo, you've mentioned it. I mean, this is a tantamount to a treasonous activity because it wasn't just one person acting alone. This was a network of syndicates, a network of individuals who planned this together. Because if we go as high as the allegations of 800 million rand in tenders, which were done between Hangwani Morgan Maumela and Vusimusi Kat Matlala, of course, the latter right now is being linked to criminal activities which are being investigated or being discussed with in the Madlanga Commission. I'm not going to touch on the Madlanga Commission, but they were just the two. And then, of course, this runs down to individuals who were getting amounts of close to 100,000 rand. So again, this is not just down to one person. It is a vast amount of individuals who, of course, have taken advantage of what we see right now.
Let me just give you another additional example. As a CEO of that hospital, the final decision maker and signature to this action, you would actually say, why is a napkin, a baby napkin costing 2 rand, be sold to us for 200 rand? And you are buying thousands and thousands of those. So instead of buying napkins that are going to last you for the whole month in the hospital for 2,000 rand, you pay 2 million for that. How do you do that? And number two, you would have known that as a clinician, that the hospital is about 800, not less than 900 beds. So you probably have pediatric wards where children are kept of less than 150. Here is someone who buys blood pressure machine for pediatrics for children of hundreds of those. Okay, given it means every baby must have a blood pressure machine in that hospital. But a blood pressure machine is not a disposable item. You can have a 3 or 4 per ward. So at most, that hospital should not have more than 10 pediatric blood pressure machines. But here is this one, buying 100. A blood pressure machine, that probably should cost 75 rand. They are prepared and ready to pay 3,000 rand per blood pressure machine. And they buy hundreds of those. The CEO of that hospital does not see anything irregular and abnormal. He allows that thing to pass through. I mean, and that hospital is not bigger than Chris Hani Palakwana Hospital in Gauteng. But they are making huge buys, huge sales. They are buying much more than Chris Hani Palakwana Hospital. It's unheard of. It's just too much irregularity. So it was so gross that you could find it happening. But they were doing it with impunity. I mean, nobody actually thought this was going to catch up with them. I don't know why. But it's really ridiculous and so unfair that you could allow citizens of our country to wait long queues waiting for a doctor because there are not too many doctors employed, no ambulances to go and pick up people who are injured, and this is happening when people are siphoning money in this way. So it is extremely bad. And I'm glad that the Premier is saying, among other things they'll do, is probably to extend and check if something like this is not happening in other hospitals. I would wish that other provinces also should take a lead. It can't be that this thing is only located in Gauteng. Suddenly all other provinces are innocent and very law-abiding. I doubt. So we might as well benefit if this process of investigations is actually started by other leaders in other provinces, so that the SIU will come and find if there are any abnormalities and stop siphoning money for wrong reasons.
Yeah, Dr. Dhlomo, after the break, we want to touch on the accountability mechanisms that can be brought forward with regards to this, because the very same statement from the Portfolio Committee on Health has said that they will support the SIU and the NPA in further investigations. My conversation with Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo continues after the break. Welcome back to Talking Point. Well, we were trying to get Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo back on the line, but we seem to be losing him. And, well, it allows us time to digest what we have, of course, seen with regards to this. When you see some of the assets that have been preserved by the Asset Forfeiture Unit, let's run them down. Property in Bantry Bay in Cape Town, property in Hartbeespoort Dam, property in Zimbali Estate in Balito. 2 turn tower properties in Cape Town. And these are not just ordinary areas, these are areas with high property value to it. When you look at cars, well, the list is as long as you can read it. 4 Lamborghinis, 1 Bentley, an Isuzu D-Max, a multi-purpose trailer, a Regency 250 LE boat. Wow, those are quite a lot. And when you see the purpose behind this report and what the intended participants of this looting were wanting to do, it was to, of course, in the obvious manner, fill up their pockets and to live a lifestyle that the poor of this country can only dream of. Do remember, we are sitting with an unemployment rate of close to 40%. Many individuals in this country are living below the poverty line. And we have individuals within this country who feel that they can go ahead and do what they did right here. And the impunity that we have seen within this country on many occasions can also apply to them. And hence, individuals like Babita Deokaran enter the frame, and their flagging of what we had seen in Tembisa Hospital has become of such importance. Her bravery, her ability to go ahead and say, not in our name, not in this country are we going to allow for this to continue. And this is where we are right now with regards to this. And when you see the individuals involved, those, of course, who went as high as 800 million rand to 600 million rand, it just shows you that this was syndicates as high as that to the smaller syndicates who are just under 10 million rand to 28,000 rand. Every single person that was involved in this looting over here had benefited, whether it was high or low. And the report, again, this being an interim report, and we're yet to see the actual full report, becomes again so important, because what it asks is, when you see how looting of many institutions, whether it is VBS Bank or Steinhoff, this has been allowed in this country. Because they look at the relevant law enforcement authorities and they say, well, we can do this, and we can do this with a smile on our face because nobody is going to catch us. I had a conversation on News in Focus with Advocate Paul Hoffman. The National Prosecuting Authority is on a life support machine. Advocate Shamila Batoy herself has said that. Why? Because there isn't really a prioritization for law enforcement authorities to get the necessary budget. We still have a State Capture Commission report that is yet to see prosecution of important figures. That's not being done. Some would argue it may not happen because there's the politics involved, and the politics dictates that the highest individuals implicated in the report should not be prosecuted. That is unfair, but this is where we are right now as a society with regards to this. And right now we have this Madlanga Commission that is occurring right now, and we're asking ourselves when it ends, and we're hoping it will end quite soon. The President has said that we have a limited amount of time for this to occur. Will those involved in this be prosecuted? It's a big question mark, a huge one, because the wheels of justice in this country takes very long. It takes very slow. And all the country is asking for is that those criminal elements that are destroying the moral integrity of the country be brought to justice. And yes, political parties will have their say on it. Next year is the local government elections, whether it's the ANC, whether it's the DA, Patriotic Alliance, Economic Freedom Fighters, Action SA, the list goes on, are going to have their say in how all of this must be done. And of course, when you read the statements, it's saying, prosecute those who have been involved, take them to task. But if you, the politicians, are sitting in these important positions, especially within the justice cluster, especially within the portfolio committees of justice, why aren't you pushing for budgets to be passed so that the SIU, so that the Hawks, so that the NPA, where Advocate Shamila Batois keep on saying, we need the support, we need the budgets. Why aren't you pushing for those budgets to be there so that the masterminds of Babita Deokaran's murder, those who are implicated in the report, and those who are probably going to be implicated in the Madlanga Commission be brought to justice? But if this is not happening within the highest decision-making places within government, like the legislature within parliament, then we are just standing still. We're not just standing still, we are actually moving backwards. And this is where we are right now as a country. And I hope that this SIU report will wake up everybody. You've heard the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, saying they're going to assist. I spoke now to Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo, and he said from a portfolio health committee, they're going to assist. And then Gauteng Premier Panyaza Sufi has said they're going to assist. Please assist. We need your words to turn into actions, because we cannot allow health facilities to decay like this. It can't work. Not on our watch, not in a country where we are seeing health facilities being slowly decayed. And we are bringing, of course, bills like the NHI to be brought. And yes, the country deserves universal health care. But if we are seeing corrupt activities like this happening, how can we really have an NHI bill when hospitals, public facilities are not being treated, are not being looked after in the way it was supposed to be done? And when you see eyewitness accounts of many of the public hospital facilities, it does not tell a good story. After the break, I'm going to be speaking to Rajesh Deokaran, the brother of Babita Deokaran. And they've, as the family, the Deokaran family, have said continuously, we want the mastermind to be brought to justice. My conversation with him is after the break.